Hello everyone, welcome to What If Naruto Fully Mastered Kurama's Power and Became Strongest Jinchuriki movie. Before we start, please go support Dragneel Slayer for writing that awesome fanfic. This is the translated version I made, there will be some mistaken character's gender, but of course Naruto is a male. After returning from the alternate world where Hagoromo had sent him after the defeat of those who were once members of his clan, Naruto lives in peace with his companions, friends and his wife. But as Hagoromo mentioned to him and his partner, things won't always remain peaceful forever, with the Ōtsutsuki members still alive in their dimension. Soon, 2 months after returning, the elemental nations experience a lack of chakra, dead animals and deceased people, in addition to the apparent death of nature. The time has come for the second sage of the six paths to take action. This movie-style fanfic follows Naruto as he finally achieves complete harmony with Kurama, becoming the perfect Jinchuriki. With their power fully synchronized, Naruto gains unimaginable strength, speed, and chakra control enough to shake the foundations of the shinobi world. However, his new status draws the attention of dangerous enemies from across nations, forcing Naruto to master not just raw power, but the wisdom to use it. Along the way, emotional reunions, heartbreaking sacrifices, and high-stakes battles push him to prove that the bond between man and beast can change the world. Demon action. Konoha no Sato, the village hidden among the leaves, the one that provides protection, security, to the land of fire, the strongest nation within all the elemental nations, the one that has survived the 3 great ninja wars, a civil war, and even a group of strange shinobi, with almost miraculous powers that they could not have obtained if it were not for those legendary beasts inside them, and, perhaps, for having come from the past. And who was the hero who defeated said group of villains taken from a shonen manga? It was none other than Uzumaki Naruto, known as the perfect Jinchuriki, the one who faced the enemies of Konoha, losing an arm, gaining another, awakening the Mokuton, spoken with a Shodai in a dream, who married at the age of 13 or 12, who managed to move his own spy within the enemy ranks. This unpredictable shinobi, son of the previous Yondaime Hokage and the princess of Uzumaki, had managed to maintain peace within the elemental nations after the crisis in his own land, and, even when they believed that he himself had died, he was only transferred to an alternate world, following a mission from Ōtsutsuki Hagoromo, the one who had been the Rikudo Sennin, and who spread chakra over humans, creating shinobi and preventing his mother, Kagaya, from being able to gain control of her own chakra. Now who was the Rikudo Sennin? Well, none other than Naruto himself, Jonin of Konoha no Sato, leader of the 13 Leaves of Death, and, perhaps, the strongest ninja within the village itself, as well as protector of the great Kurama, and heir to the sage of the 6 paths. He was, without a doubt, the most important shinobi within Konoha and the elemental nations, the only one who could face almost any adversity that was out of the ordinary. Damn Ryu. That feminine scream was heard in every corner of the Leaf Village, waking a dark-haired Nara from his nap, who looked from one side to the other, searching for the one who had woken him up. I'm sorry Akeno-senpai. Ryu has been bad. He has been a bad boy, he's sorry. Pam. Crack. Boom. He's not sorry, no shit. Uchiha Akeno, member of Konoha's team, wife of Uzumaki Naruto and probably the best kunoichi in Konoha, having never followed the path of a fangirl and always focusing on her training, searching for that blue-eyed boy from the orphanage. Please release Ryu. Crack. Right now, the teenage girl with raven black hair was hovering over the red-haired Uzumaki, her face and eye hidden, her face by a Kakashi-like mask, and her eye by the Hittite with a swirl over it. This was Uzumaki Ryu, the strangest and most childish ninja since the creation of the entire world, probably a long-lost son of Hada Kakashi and Uchiha Obito, alias Tobi, who also joined Konoha alongside Rin, who was revived by the strange and childish Uzumaki. No, please, bastard. Another fact to give about Konoha was its kunoichi. An entire generation was lost in the world of fangirls, leaving few truly valid kunoichi within the village, something that could only have been written by someone who loved the Uchiha and despised the Uzumaki. But, if a kunoichi really trained and formed as such, she would be feared inside and outside of Konoha. Examples would be Senju Tsunade, Uzumaki Kushina, Uchiha Mikoto, Inyazuka Tsume, Inyazuka Hana, Uchiha Izumi, Nahara Rin, Kato Shizune, Tenten and, of course, Uchiha Akeno. Any of these women, if you ended up on their bad side, you could even end up actually dead from their beating. Yami Kudasai. Crack. On the floor of the living room of a vast Japanese mansion with the Uzumaki symbol, a young red-haired man with straight hair stood in another world, his eyes blank. Even if someone squinted, they could see a ghost slowly escaping from his mouth, white as snow, toward the sky itself. The boy's skin had turned almost porcelain, too white. Little. I think you screwed him up, A-chan. The one who had spoken was none other than the Nidaime Rikudo Sennin, Uzumaki Naruto. The boy, now about 17 years old, had somewhat longer, untidy hair, with strands falling in front of his forehead protector. He wore the standard Jonin uniform and showed his bandaged right arm, the one he lost to one of the experiments of the late elder Shimura Danzo, the advisor who had nearly gained power and used his wife as a baby incubator. The all-powerful perfect Jinchuriki was hitting Ryu's cheek with a stick, trying to discern whether his wife had killed him or whether he was still alive. If not, using the Rinnegan would be appropriate for such a task. HMP. He deserves it. Uchiha Keno. From her childlike appearance, she had grown into a girl slightly above average height among women, with a slim toned body, without much chest, maybe with a slim waist, a slender body. She had hair as black as night, reaching below her buttocks, much too long for a girl if she fought. But a Keno was a Keno. Like Naruto, the girl wore the standard Jonin uniform of Konoha, with a shinobi band on her forehead, indicating that she was of the leaf. But you killed him. He died of a Keno. Taking some drama, Naruto hugged his red-haired companion's corpse, bawling his eyes out, drenching the red-haired Uzumaki's vest with cascades of his own tears. A twitch hit the Uchiha's eye. You're imbeciles. Pam. Crack. Palm. Boom. Now, accompanying Ryu in the world of unconsciousness or in limbo itself, at the gates of heaven or hell, was Naruto, in precisely the same state, letting his soul escape. The remarkable thing was the huge bump on his head. Minutes later, both Uzumaki stood before a Keno, their heads bowed, showing a mountain of bumps, looking genuinely sorry or scared of the girl. The Uchiha's hair had risen, swaying like the tails of the Kyuubi no Yoko, the powerful Biju. Good heavens. How many times have I told you, Ryu? No more using my makeup to look like Kankuro, that stupid cat puppeteer with lipstick on his face. Ryu shrank back at the girl's screams, hiding his face more and more, wanting to speak, but unable to because of his fear of the girl. And you, Naruto. Stop clowning around and get to work. Shikamaru's been passing his laziness on to you. When I see Tamari, I'll tell her about it and you'll both get punished. Ah, what a character. Why did I get married in the first place? Ah, yes. For Raymond. Too bad Oj plus N isn't here to give me his salary in Raymond. Are you listening to me, you bastard? The Keno's face appeared in the blonde Uzumaki's line of vision and he recoiled in surprise, fear, and the girl's burning eyes. She was almost an Uchiha version of his mother. Hi. The Keno sighed, bringing her hand to her face. Had these two really saved the world 2 years ago and on top of that, saved the alternate dimension from an Ōtsutsuki that tried to devour both worlds? She found it hard to believe. They were both idiots. He sighed softly. No hi, she growled, crossing her arms as she looked at the two Uzumaki with the eternal Mangekyo Sharingan activated, while an aura covered her slightly dark blue, giving her the appearance almost of Madara. If you don't move now, I'll hit you. Hi. Thus, both Uzumaki Naruto and Uzumaki Ryu left the Uzumaki Namikaze mansion to face their duties as Jonin in this case. Although Ryu himself was a Jonin, he did not wear the leaf headband. Always on his forehead was the Yuzu headband, displaying the powerful Uzumaki whirlpool. Naruto, while on his forehead he wore the Konoha headband, now on his left arm he wore the Yuzu Hitai-8, representing the leader of the clan and ninja village within Konoha. Ryu thinks a Keno senpai is scary. Ryu saw his mother in her, and now Ryu is afraid. Anyone who looked at the fearsome red-haired destroyer could see that the boy was actually trembling, and he wasn't lying at all. He seemed genuinely scared. On the other hand, Naruto wasn't any less scared. He thought he saw his own mother, the fearsome Akai Chishio no Habanero of Konoha, standing right behind his wife, as if she'd been reincarnated or something. And it was truly annoying and frightening. Meh. Let's leave that aside, Ryu. We'll go with Itachi and Shisui. We still have to deal with the disappearances through the space-time portals that Hokage-sama told us about, Naruto said, starting to jump towards the rooftops. Right on the back of his waist, the blonde shinobi carried a scroll along with a tanto he usually used for battle. Ryu followed him, almost like a good little dog. They had never been apart. Shall we fix the alternate world problem? Ryu heard Hagoromo Jiji say yes. With the death of the useless Martian, everything would be fixed. After defeating Ryu's companions, Naruto and the Redeed were taken by the Rikudo Sennin to an alternate world from their own, where they had to fight against a man named Ōtsutsuki Ganshiki, whom they ended up defeating with the help of Menma and Minato. Naruto was really happy to be able to live with his parents for a while, even though they weren't really his. HMP. The thing is, for the past 2 months, there have been chakra absorptions and portals seen in those places, or at least that's what witnesses have said, according to Kakashi. Following the return of both Uzumaki, the Godame Hokage, Senju Tsunade, left the position to one of the students of the previous Yondaime Hokage, Hada Kakashi, the leader of Konoha's squad and former teacher of the blue-eyed blonde. With this, Kakashi was named Rakudame Hokage and made the leader of the village in the eyes of everyone, including the daimyo. Although some hoped that Naruto would take the position, which he declined when it was offered to him. Dealing with paperwork. The nickname Rakudo Senin was more useful on the battlefield. You're finally here, you two. Ada Kakashi hadn't changed. Even as Hokage, he wore his Jonin uniform, covering his mask and the Sharingan eye his friend Obito had given him. Forgive Ryu, Kakashi Oda-san. Ryu couldn't escape from Akeno-senpai and dragged Naruto-senpai into the beating, the eternal Uzumaki declared, scratching the back of his neck. Kakashi felt a drop of sweat trickle down his temple, looking directly at the redeed. Well. Ahem. We're dealing with a chakra shortage in some areas. Dead plants. Animal bodies dumped on the roads. Even shinobi have been seen dead, without a shred of chakra. And it's all about those portals that have opened since your return. Ryu is innocent. Ryu knows nothing at all. Frantically waving his hands, the ice cream lover tried not to be blamed. Naruto groaned, feeling the pain coming on. Kakashi just shook his head. No, we're not accusing you, Ryu. I'm just informing you. Oh. Ryu almost peed himself in fright. Ignoring that, Hokage-sama, has any cause of these phenomena been seen? Something beyond the portals. Old man Rakudo told us about the Ōtsutsuki, and they would be the ones who could be doing this. Naruto intervened, cutting off any words from Ryu. If so, as the nickname Rakudo Senin, I can deal with them. Ryu can too. Even Obito with a Rinnegan. It's good to have so many brave souls, Shisui declared, entering the room, followed by his best friend, Itachi. Both Uchihas were wearing standard Anbu armor. But we shouldn't give away all our cards, should we? We should keep at least a couple of tricks up our sleeves, waiting for the moves of this guy, or guys. We don't know how many there are. Ryu-sama will destroy them. Just because I didn't infiltrate the Akatsuki doesn't mean Ryu can't grape Martians. Technically, I'm immortal, the Redeed declared. Then he blinked, looking at Naruto. But Naruto-senpai has to stay. If he dies, I die. And Ryu doesn't want to die yet. He still has lemon ice cream left to eat. Ignoring that again, Naruto spoke, looking at the Hokage. Shisui is right. We can't reveal our cards. And we can't cut ourselves when fighting. If our chakra is being stolen, we must do something or we will die. Chakra is the source of life in the world. Ryu says Naruto-senpai is wise. I am a sage, Ryu. Silence filled the Hokage's chamber. Kakashi felt sweat running down his face. Itachi remained completely impassive, clearly Uchiha Itachi-like, and Shisui displayed his radiant cheerful smile, unbecoming of his Uchiha appearance. Anyway, the Hada cleared his throat, stopping any exchange of words between the two Uzumaki. Perhaps every time he had to assign a mission to the two men of team, his headache would flare up. They were like two flies. He thanked Kami for Akeno's presence. Unfortunately, she wasn't with him now. Naruto. Ryu. Shisui. Itachi. The four of you will go to Kumagakure to deliver a scroll to the Yondaime Reikage to check the damage caused by these portals. You may go. But the Konoha Street. Uchiha Akeno walked through Konoha completely calm, heading in a fixed direction to meet up with her comrades. Konoha had changed since the Civil War, elevating her husband, Naruto, and herself as two heroes. The Godame completely repaired the village, executing every member of the previous civilian council. Irakudame, when he took office, formed a second civilian council, appointing it to handle paperwork or problems caused by civilians, while the clan council and the shinobi council took care of the ninja within Konoha's ranks. She herself had applied to be a member of the shinobi council, joining as one of the 7 jonin representatives of the village. Akeno was happy that her two brothers, Shisui and Obito, had finally reunited with her. She had felt some loneliness, despite having Naruto, Ryu, and Anko, whom she thanked for still being by her side. Akeno-chan. Akeno-chan. The Uchiha stopped in her tracks, readjusting her jonin vest over her torso and turned her torso, looking at two Redeeds walking towards her. They were Uzumaki Karen and Teiya, two of the Kunoichi who had served Orochimaru when he was with Inoto, in charge of the Sound Village, and which he still controlled. Oh, Teiya. Karen. Akeno returned the greeting, more towards Karen than Teiya. The girl with the somewhat pink hair had a very strong character. She was clearly an Uzumaki. She could see that trait in her husband, as well as sometimes in Karen. It seemed like a true personality trait in the Uzumaki. Many times Naruto had told her that his mother, Kushina, was always very temperamental, from what the Kyuubi had told the young blue-eyed jonin. What are you doing here all alone, without your prince with the shining golden hair, Uchiha? Teiya asked. The girl was wearing a standard Konoha jonin uniform, with a sash tied around her waist, wearing the vest open. Karen, on the other hand, wore the Hittite right on her forehead, under the strands of her reddish hair. He summoned you, Hokage-sama, Akeno replied, her cheeks flushed. It was no secret to anyone in the village what Naruto had gone to for her, fighting against Shimura and an entire army, with no real fear of dying. "You. Otherwise, would we have seen your hair so well combed, dear?" The slightly pink-haired girl asked, raising one of her eyebrows slightly, taking on a mischievous face at the blush on the brunette's cheeks. Akeno shook her head, pushing back her blush, but it was too late. Both girls had seen him and were smiling, with Karen adjusting her glasses on her face. Could I? Ha. Now, girl with the neat hair for the lack of her lover, I want to tails Taya declared, giving that smile that was, of course, getting on the Uchiha's nerves. A clearing of the throat halted the conversation. The three girls turned around, finding themselves facing the former Godame Hokage, the first woman to hold ultimate power in a shinobi village, even if it was blood-linked like a senju. "What are you talking about, girls?" Nothing special," Tsunade-sama Karen answered, actually looking nervous. Not for nothing, Tsunade was feared by every man both inside and outside the Leaf Village. Her physical power rivaled that of Mido Guy using a certain number of open gates, and, technically, she was the physically strongest woman in the elemental nations and with the most medical knowledge of all the shinobi. "Oh? You're not talking about my grandson, are you?" Tsunade asked, giving a delicate smile, making Akeno blush deeply, while both Redeeds cleared their throats. "I thought so. Hahaha. Tsunade cleared her throat, stepping away from the young women as she spoke again. "Don't rest on your laurels. This generation needs exceptional Kunoichi." With a wave of her hand, the legendary slug princess bid farewell to the young jonin. Akeno sighed, staring sharply at the two Redeeds. "Shut your mouths, idiots," the Uchiha hissed, a crimson tinge showing on her cheeks. The Uchiha were known for keeping their emotions in check, showing embarrassment in a tsundere-like manner, almost like Sasuke every few times. At least, that's what Akeno thought of the second leader of the Uchiha clan. With Itachi's return, the clan wouldn't go bankrupt. "Well, the others are waiting for us." Heiaya took Akeno's right arm and Karen took her left, starting to drag her towards the central square of Konoha, where they had reserved a restaurant for them to celebrate Naruto's return, peace in Konoha and the end of Akatsuki, although they had not yet defeated their main leader, from what Obito told them. "Let me go, you bastards." "She's looking more and more like you, Taya," Karen declared, smiling at her girlfriend. Yes, Karen and Taya had begun a relationship a few months ago. Could it be because she's Naruto's wife? Nah. It's not like being in Uzumaki is a virus. She probably needs something from her husband. "I'll kill you, Taya. Do you want to let me go?" So, without wasting time, both Uzumaki dragged the only female member of the previous team, the one that had practically saved the Fire Nation. Border of the Land of Lightning. The team sent by the Rakudame Hokage had arrived at the border with the Land of Lightning, where a squadron would be waiting to take them to Kumagakure no Sato for the transaction. Leading the team was Shisui, followed by Itachi and then the Uzumaki duo. They had divided up the roles based on their qualities. And although Naruto was qualified as a leader, he really didn't want to deal with the cage of Kumo or the higher-ups. It wasn't his thing. "Naruto," Shisui's voice brought the Jinchuriki out of his thoughts. The blonde raised his head, frowning. "Look." At the Uchiha's urgent voice and his companion's own darkened face, Naruto shook his head, stopping. In front of him, the field of grass that should have been a deep green just before reaching the mountainous area of the Land of Lightning was completely black, as if they had been completely robbed of their color, dead. Naruto moved his eyes, scanning the area, marveling at the different completely inert lifeless animals that were there. "This is..." Naruto swallowed his words completely. Itachi remained silent. Even Ryu didn't open his mouth, remaining silent. In front of the four Konoha shinobi, there was a truly gruesome sight. The stench of death itself reached their nostrils, forcing the boys to cover their noses, especially Naruto. "It's worse than Kakashi-sama said," Itachi declared, removing his Anbu mask slightly so he could breathe. The two Uchiha were still in uniform, indicating they were still on duty. "It's horrible." The Konoha shinobi stood on the hill, staring at the horrific sight. Naruto clenched his fists, gritting his teeth. Was this the work of the Ōtsutsuki Hagoromo had mentioned? He was fed up. He just wanted a little peace, just a little, for his country not to be stained by blood. And they didn't seem to want to leave them alone. If this was the Ōtsutsuki. Ryu thinks Naruto-senpai should calm down. "He's radiating too much chakra and making Ryu tremble," declared the Redeed behind Shisui, trembling at the chakra leak the sage was presenting. Naruto snorted through his teeth, shaking his head. "I am sorry." "No, Naruto. It's normal," Itachi declared, stoically looking at their surroundings. He showed no anger or negative feelings in his eyes. But Uchiha Itachi was enraged by what he saw. "How did they manage to do this?" Shisui asked, crossing his arms. Ryu had abandoned his shield, eating a lemon popsicle. No one in the world could do something like that. They must have power truly surpassing a normal human. Not even those guys from a year ago could have achieved something like that. Has God abandoned us? He's no god, Shisui, Naruto declared venomously, his gaze cold and cruel. His left arm had become faintly wrapped in golden chakra. He's the work of a monster, someone who wants to eradicate us completely from the world, no, from the universe. Aren't you going off on a rampage, brother? Shisui asked, amused. Believing that someone of such caliber existed and wasn't from this world wasn't within the realm of possibility for shinobi. Indeed, a new voice interrupted the chatter of the Konoha ninjas. They all looked towards a gigantic dark-haired man, with slick-back blonde hair and a small beard. Your incredible companion is correct. This has not been caused by God, far from it. A monster has completely destroyed Kumagakure. It has raised the land of lightning and moved on to its next target without even a scratch on our side, which is what I regret most. Despite using what I was taught, I have not been able to protect my country. Arakage-sama. Ah, have you noticed? I asked, giving a small smile, showing the lack of his left arm. I don't know what you're doing here. Kumo doesn't exist. And soon Konoha doesn't either. What do you mean? Naruto inquired, taking a step forward. Moved his dark eyes towards the blonde, not showing fear, despite being able to sense the boy's dense chakra, much more powerful than any young man should have. Even more so than B. And yet his adoptive brother was really strong and had more years and experience than that kid. That Ōtsutsuki or Jinchuriki has completely destroyed Kumo with a single move, taking every drop of chakra from our shinobi, without fear of being defeated. A explained, defeated. His voice sounded hoarse, tired. In front of the young people, the Yondaime Reikage appeared much older than he was, looking like a completely tired old man, a man exhausted by the weight he seemed to carry on his shoulders, completely defeated and without a real will to live. His eyes, which should have been shining, were dull, without the will to live or the same glow of life in them, as if he were ready to go to the god of death. And now, he heads to Konohagakure no Sado, ready to take the Kyuubi no Yoko, completely destroy its inhabitants, and steal all the chakra there is before the land of fire. And the jutsu will do nothing to him. He'll simply absorb them fearlessly, giving him power, even more power. No one will be able to stop him, not with ninjutsu, at least. The end of the elemental nations has come. Naruto clenched his fists, clicking his tongue. It really had been an Ōtsutsuki who had destroyed Kumo, who had caused all those deaths, including nature itself. And now he was coming for his home, for his friends. And it wasn't something he, the Nidaime Rakuto Sennin, could allow when he was still breathing. Calm down, Naruto, Shisui pleaded, placing a hand on Naruto's shoulder. Naruto came back to his senses, sighing and letting out all the air he'd been holding in his lungs. Thank you. It's time for us to finish the mission and go home. We have nothing else to do here. Konohagakure no Sado. Ōtsutsuki or Jinchuriki had albino skin, like all the members of his clan, and wore a white kimono and grayish hakama. He was broad, with strong arms and yellow Rinnegan eyes in their sockets, with slightly violet hair. This powerful being was flying over Konoha, the village where he had felt the faint traces of the Kyuubi no Yoko, which he was to capture and absorb. He would take all the chakra in that place for himself, leaving a river of corpses, dead animals, and lifeless plants. The earth should not remain in the universe, as his father had told him long ago. Jinchuriki formed a sphere of chakra in his index finger, watching as the ants Konoha villagers walked, without looking at the sky, towards their doom. And he could only give a slight smile. He was an Ōtsutsuki who did not need the Shinju to become stronger. In fact, he did not need the chakra of those insects. He only took it for greed itself. Because of this, he could allow himself to eliminate as many as he wanted. He could even completely destroy the planet and his strength would not be diminished. Let's see how ants react to a god. Bijadama. He moved his arm. He pointed his finger right at the center of Konohagakure no Sado, unleashing a tiny fraction of his chakra and power, just enough to partially destroy the place, but not entirely. He wanted to see what the humans there were capable of. He expected behavior similar to that of the brown-skinned ones. Brum. Boom. Konohagakure was shattered by the Ōtsutsuki's movement, creating an immense cloud of dust that covered the skies of the leaf, covering its dead and wounded. Jinchuriki slowly descended, his eyes peering into the dust. He hoped he hadn't completely destroyed those humans. It would be boring if he didn't have some action before taking on the fox. Swiss. Tap. He caught what looked like a small knife between his index finger and thumb, staring at the projectile. It seemed they had finally seen it. But they had been lulled into the futile belief that it would actually kill him. Humans were completely delusional. They weren't necessary. And that proved it to him. He didn't understand how Kagaya kept them alive. Raiten. Sen no Inori no Sabansho Court of 1,000 Prayers. Jinchuriki flicked his hand, stopping a blade wrapped in lightning chakra, staring into red and black eyes with the extraordinary pattern. Akeno simply squeezed, trying to move past him and sever his head. No. just stop. You won't be able to get past that. Pain. Goku Mikyaku. The Keno completed the horse seal, unleashing a fiery tide upon the Ōtsutsuki, hoping to roast him completely. Unfortunately, Rinshiki absorbed the jutsu without taking any significant damage. So pitiful. Rinshiki moved a Keno, shaking the Uchiha with his Shakudo, throwing her towards one of the destroyed houses, as if she were a simple fly in his path. Crack boom. The brunette was left among the rubble, feeling as if her body weighed her down, both from the rubble itself and from the excruciating pain in her back. Just boring. Mercury. Peyton, Kakaku no Jutsu. Rinshiki watched as two humans approached him, one wrapping his hand in lightning chakra and the other firing a massive ball of fire at him. He extended both arms. Shinra Tensei. An invisible force pushed both the Rakudame Hokage and the Rinnegan Uchiha, who rolled on the ground, having used the same technique as his enemy as a shield against his rival's movement. But even so, he was pushed back by the vast chakra. No matter how hard you try, Rinshiki looked at the two of them condescendingly, as if they were nothing more than pebbles in his path. Two black bars appeared in his hands. Fine. I'll kill you. Here. Now. Payman, gate of opening, a pressure escaped from the rubble of one of the houses, stopping Rinshiki's words. Kaiman, gate of rest, the pressure grew stronger. Seiman, gate of life, the rubble moved, revealing a head of black hair. Shoman, gate of pain, a Keno was fully exposed, wrapped in chakra, her eternal Mangekyo Sharingan activated, her skin reddened. Toman, gate of closing, the Uchiha stood up, taking a step. Kaiman, gate of joy, crouched, wrapped in greenish chakra. Kaiman, gate of shock. Rinshiki launched himself at the girl. A Keno disappeared from the Otsutsuki's eyes. Pam crack. Rinshiki crashed to the ground, being slammed into the ground by the brunette's heel. A Keno moved, reappearing in front of her enemy, landing a direct blow to his stomach, making him hunch over, a moment she took advantage of to grab him by the head, slamming him into the ground with a fluid powerful movement. I see, behind him, having recovered from the enemy's movement, the Rakudame Hokage was on one knee, feeling the sweat drip down his forehead, watching the fight with his Sharingan active at its highest stage. Since ninjutsu doesn't affect him, taijutsu is the other option. Hokage-sama. Kakashi removed the fire hat from his head, revealing his gravity-defying silver hair. Shikamaru. The civilians. They're being evacuated. But. Yeah, we don't have all the Jonin in Konoha. Keep the Chunin and Genin with the civilians and leave the Anbu with them. Meet us here if we're still alive. But. Don't argue, it's an order from the Hokage. Kakashi growled, almost like an animal, revealing his Jonin uniform, already standing. Without arguing, Shikamaru disappeared, leaving only the Rakudame Hokage, who sighed. I'm too old for this. Pam. The wave of wind hit Konoha. The Otsutsuki's right fist connected with the Uchiha's, creating a powerful pressure and a fierce wind that separated them, pushing them 100 meters apart. Akeno breathed heavily, feeling the weight of the Hachiman Tonko on her body, feeling her muscles contract and tear. But she couldn't just give up, not now. Come on. Guy-sensei taught me this, I must be able to since neither he nor Lee are in the village. Viridora, midday tiger. Zoom. Uchiha Akeno disappeared, charging everything into a single punch, ready to destroy his enemy. He reappeared in front of the Ōtsutsuki, who lowered his face. Being 2 meters 30 tall, he was forced to lower his head when someone appeared in front of him, ready to attack him. Using the full power of the 7th gate, the Uchiha unleashed a devastating technique on Rinshiki, slamming her iron fist into his stomach, creating the image of an immense tiger devouring a mere cub. Akeno wasn't afraid. Hhhh. Using all her strength, she lunged at Rinshiki, sending a gale of wind engulfing her, whipping her hair around, ripping the right sleeve of her uniform, and tearing the rest of her Jonin outfit. The ninja headband shifted, whipping in the wind, falling from her forehead to her feet. A huge ditch lay in front of her, where Ōtsutsuki Rinshiki had been sent crashing into the Hokage monument. Ah! Akeno fell to her knee, closing the 7 doors, now feeling extreme fatigue, as sweat trickled not only down her face, but every inch of her body, soaking her clothes. Her hair seemed to have been completely exposed to the water. He deactivated his taijutsu, dropping to his knees. The arm he'd used to execute the technique was completely purple, indicating internal bleeding. It had probably even pulverized his bones. When did Guy teach you that? Obito appeared next to his younger sister, looking worried. Arf ever since Naruto disappeared, I've been training to have this as an ace up my sleeve, Aniki she replied. Her right eye was closed, showing clear signs of tiredness. Anyone would be when using the Hachiman Tonko. That has not been enough. Obito growled, hearing Jupi's voice in his mind. He brought his hand to his head, closing his eyes slightly for a few seconds. He wasn't used to having the 10 tails in his body, to being a Jinchuriki of the most powerful being. Use me, Obito. You can't let your sister fight for you. Not anymore. Not now, with an Ōtsutsuki. Well, that was educational. The two Uchiha looked at Jinchuriki. The Ōtsutsuki was walking towards them, showing some blood on his temple, with parts of his body that had begun to slowly regenerate, leaving him as he was initially, but with his kimono torn. It's like Madara. The Kendo groaned, trying to get up. The Hokage's hand stopped her, as did her brother Obito, who was frowning and showing his Rinnegan without fear. Kakashi. Take a Kendo somewhere else. I'll take care of this guy for a while, at least until Naruto arrives, Obito declared, starting to walk towards the Ōtsutsuki. Obito. Have you gone crazy? Nai-sama. Uchiha Obito closed his eyes as he walked, then showing the Mangekyo Sharingan in his right eye and the Rinnegan in his left, while a purple aura was enveloping him. Are you sure I should trust you? You shouldn't. But this is a special situation, and neither Ashura nor Indra are in the village right now. Have you come to die, ninjin? Jinchuriki flashed his sick smile, making a black slash appear in his hand, which he shot at the Uchiha. An invisible wall split it in two, surprising the Ōtsutsuki. Or rather, you're going to die. Of Kakashi and Akeno. Without delay, seeing the back of his former teammate, Kakashi carried Akeno in his arms, disappearing in a flash on the way to the shelter. He could feel the teenager's tremors due to the overexertion on her body due to the Hachiman Tonko and not having truly used them with a body ready for the seventh gate, which had left the girl in bad shape. In a truly critical state. And she needed to be treated as soon as possible. Kakashi appeared in the north of the Land of Fire, the furthest from Konoha. Kakashi-sensei. Haddock fell to his knees, panting slightly. He'd overworked the flickering body and needed a break. He laid Akeno down on the cool grass, noticing the raindrops falling on him. Sakura. Get Tsunade-sama. We must help Akeno-chan, declared Shizune, who had accompanied the Pinket. The brunette crouched down, moving her chakra-enveloped hand over the Uchiha's body, her eyes opening fully. This by Kami. How could it be so wrong? To use the 8 inner gates, Kakashi said, catching his breath. The Hokage sat down on the grass, still watching his sensei's son's wife. And yet, Obito has bought us time. What Obito what? Nahara Rin screamed, alerting the Haddock, who looked down. Rin huffed, ready to go to her companion to help him. An iron hand stopped her, and she was forced to look back, meeting the pain in the silver-haired man's eyes. No Rin. You can't do anything. Obito at least has the Rinnegan and Kamui to prevent further damage. Akeno used up to the 7th gate and that guy wasn't really affected. He regenerated. Tsunade, who had arrived with Sakura, opened her eyes at Kakashi's words, his scream. Really? She asked, looking seriously at the Haddock, expecting some lie in his facial features, finding only the painful truth. I understand. Sakura, help us take Akeno to a safe place. She might get sick. The two former members of team were left alone, in the rain, under the stormy sky that seemed to mourn the deaths of the elemental nations because of Jinchuriki. I am sorry Rin. The brunette shook her head, lowering her face, so that Kakashi couldn't see her tears falling down her face. No, it's not your fault, Kakashi. Obito would have bought you time anyway, knowing that without Guy, Itachi, Shisui, Naruto or Ryu, it was impossible to get out of there alive. He was the only one who could stop him, thanks to the Rinnegan he carries, Rin muttered. She raised her face, showing her flushed cheeks, her watery eyes. That hurt more than anything. Don't mope, Kakashi. Obito will come back. You'll see. And he'll take the Hokage hat from you, she declared, giving a smile that Kakashi immediately caught. She tries to hide her pain behind a mask. Rin, don't do this. You're making me feel worse. But Akeno. Rin. Go back to camp. Izumi will be worried about you, and Tsunade-sama probably needs you, along with Sakura and Shizune, to save Akeno. If she dies, Naruto will wipe out that god, and he won't be merciful. And you, Kakashi? What are you going to do? Ada Kakashi, the Rakudame Hokage of Konohagakure no Sato, let out a heavy sigh as he stood up, lowering his mask slightly and taking a soldier pill. As Hokage, it's my duty to protect the shoots that grow alongside the old tree, the leaves that hang from it. I can't simply abandon them. Konohagakure no Sato ruins. Two figures were moving at high speeds, colliding through the sky of what had been Konoha, the village hidden in the leaves. One of these figures was one of his revived shinobi, Uchiha Obito, who was trying to keep up with his attacker, Ōtsutsuki Jinchuriki, without overusing his Kamui or Rinnegan, saving all the chakra he could for moves that would really affect his opponent. Ninjutsu had been ruled out, and all he could rely on was Taijutsu and his own body, which was sustained thanks to the 10 tails inside him. Ambrum. Obito was thrown backward after blocking a move from his enemy, feeling his arm go somewhat numb from using too much of the Jubi's chakra and from the force of the collision itself. But he couldn't just let up with this enemy right in front of him, the one who had destroyed his village and nearly killed his little sister. Shisui would clearly be just as pissed off, and he was no different. That's it, Ninjin. It seems you descendants of Indra are much more interesting, Rinshiki declared, wiping the blood running down his chin, giving a deranged sick smile. He was enjoying that confrontation even more than the one his father gave him when he tried to absorb him to become more powerful. Show me more. DSK. You're a sick man, Martian, Obito hissed, covering himself with his arm as the chakra escaped the Otsutsuki's body, sending the Uchiha back, leaving the marks of his feet in the ground from the force with which he had planted himself. Not even using chakra had he avoided being displaced a few centimeters. But if you wish it, I will give you what you seek. Wonderful. Rinshiki shouted towards the sky, soaring up as if he were some kind of god. He moved his attention towards Obito, summoning a purple sphere. Stop this. Bijidama. Shinra Tensei. Concentrating all his chakra into the Rinnegan, he generated an invisible force shield in front of him, striking the Bijidama that was trying to vaporize him without being truly successful. Boom. The layer of dust covered both combatants, forcing them to jump out of the same cloud. Obito was somewhat panting, tired from the overexertion he was subjecting his body to and the constant use of the Jubi's chakra he was making without really being accustomed to such density and power. He skidded across the floor, feeling sweat running down his face. Brang. Uchiha Obito opened his eyes when he felt something piercing his stomach and pinning him to the ground. Behind Uchiha, Rinshiki showed himself, using a Kuroi Jishinki black receiver with his left hand, piercing his enemy. Disappointing again, the Otsutsuki declared, moving towards Obito, taking him by the head. I'll take this off, okay? NGH. Don't object, Ninjin. None of your kind should be able to use these god eyes. It's an aberration. I'll simply take it and destroy them if you don't mind, Ninjin Rinshiki said, moving his hand to where Obito's Rinnegan was. The Uchiha tried to move, finding the weight of the Otsutsuki to be too much for him. Stay. This won't hurt at all. Chidori. Brang. Rinshiki opened his eyes, feeling a hand pass through him, like Raiten chakra burning his skin. If he had been attentive, he would have used the Rinnegan in his hands to absorb the jutsu. But he had focused too much on the bearer of those eyes and neglected his defenses too much. He couldn't allow that. Rinshiki tried to move, letting go of Obito a little. Raiten, Raijutsuga, lightning release. Fang tracking lightning beast. The dog made of Raiten hit the Otsutsuki, sending it away from Obito, leaving him on the ground with a bar in his stomach. Brash. Kakashi took the bar from his partner and walked over to Rinshiki, who had stood up. 2 copies of Haddock stood next to the original, flanking him. Hey Kakashi. And Ayakeno. Tsunade-sama and her students are with her. She'll get through this, Obito. Now, I hope you recover in just a minute because we have a space ghost to deal with. Yubi began to heal the Uchiha's wound, who stood up a few seconds later. Making jokes. Who? Me? The Rakudame adjusted his gloves, focusing all the chakra he could into his left eye Sharingan, turning it into the Mangekyo Sharingan. I've never joked. HMP Obito imitated his partner, switching his Sharingan for the Mangekyo, focusing on the Otsutsuki in front of them. Just like old times. No, Kakashi smiled under his mask, giving his signature winky grin to his best friend. More like how it should have been. Have you put your sentimentality aside yet? Rinshiki snarled, summoning 2 black slashes, grinning. Because it's time to kill you both. Well, Kakashi positioned himself, taking out a kunai. As the Rakudame Hokage, I can't allow my people to suffer. And you have, which is something I can't let go of. Ha. What a funny little thing. I told you, Kakashi. You're joking, Obito mocked, giving a sideways smile. The Haddock smiled back. Yes, it seems so. Shall we begin, little insects? The Otsutsuki asked, wanting to finish off the leaf shinobi. Oh, I thought we were done. Rinshiki lunged at both former team members, swinging one of his Kuroi Jishinki to strike one of the 2 shinobi. Obito leaped forward, blocking the receiver with a kunai, feeling a cramp from his enemy's chakra. Kakashi appeared from underneath, attempting to plunge his own kunai into the Otsutsuki's side. Rinshiki moved the second receiver, catching it in reverse, and blocked the silver-haired man's kunai blade. Obito swung his left fist, delivering a powerful jab to the enemy's jaw, making him jump, at which point Kakashi leaped into the sky, spinning. Shishirenden. The Hokage landed a powerful kick against the Otsutsuki's abdomen, trying to send him crashing to the ground. Rinshiki caught Kakashi's leg and spun around, throwing the silver-haired man into the Uchiha, who was ready to land a blow on the enemy. Ham. The 2 Konoha shinobi collided, sending them sprawling. Rinshiki spun around, slowly descending to the ground, gently touching it with his feet. If that's your plan, Ninjin, it's time to die, Rinshiki declared, waving his arm at both men. Shinra Tensei. The sling of invisible force dragged both shinobi toward the center of the village, followed by a powerful and dense cloud of dust and debris. Rinshiki lowered his arm, walking slowly toward them, unhurried. he could enjoy the fight a little longer. But neither of them would make him feel what that human had done. Ugh. Kakashi. Obito stood up, pushing aside a piece of the wall, searching for his partner. He'd caught him with the cage's launch, so he couldn't complete the seals. And if he'd used Kamui, Rinshiki would likely have absorbed the jutsu. Shit. Here. The Rakudame Hokage emerged from the rubble, showing a slight bleeding. He hadn't expected the enemy to appear unharmed after a direct Chidori and a Raiten jutsu. He seemed to have some superior regenerative power. Are you okay, Kakashi? I'm too old for this, the Hokage declared, standing up. He brushed the dust off his uniform, yanking off the vest. Any jutsu you want to use against that guy. Hibaku Tensei, Obito said, looking in the direction of his enemy. He took a deep breath. I'm going to need some time, maybe quite a bit, to gather chakra. Haddock nodded, sighing. It looked like he was going to have to fight that guy alone. Too bad. He wasn't up to the task of dealing with a powerful being on his own. I'll give you all the time you need, Obito, he declared, seriousness permeating his voice. He began walking toward the Ōtsutsuki, pondering the possibilities of surviving this battle. If only Guy were here. He couldn't grieve. He had to deal with that guy with what he had, and the Jonin shortage was becoming apparent now. But he couldn't grieve. He was the Rakudame Hokage, Hada Kakashi, Sharingan no Kakashi, a student of the Yondame Hokage. I'll take it as long as possible, don't be late, Obito. And you, friend. It doesn't matter, I'll go for him when he's done with you, Rinshiki declared, walking towards Kakashi, looking towards where Obito was, almost meditating. What's oh? I understand. So this power, this chakra I felt in your partner, is from the Shinju. I think I'll go for him, before dealing with you. Poof poof poof. I don't think I can let you pass, Kakashi showed his bloody eye, surrounding the Ōtsutsuki with shadow clones. He was willing to give his life to keep Obito fully alive, so he could lock that guy away. Rinshiki found it amusing. The Ōtsutsuki began to laugh madly, bringing his hand to his face, trying really hard not to die of laughter. What wouldn't let him pass? Him? A mere ninja. Yes, it was the funniest thing anyone had said to him in at least a millennium. Let's see how confident you are, little ninja, Rinshiki said, facing Kakashi. Hada Kakashi took a deep breath and, in the blink of an eye, launched himself at his enemy, followed by his clones. Rinshiki projected his strength into a Shinra Tensei, finding himself surrounded by smoke that completely prevented him from seeing what was in front of him. Ham. Rinshiki opened his eyes, feeling the heel of a foot on his chin, shooting skyward from the cloud of smoke. He felt arms grab him from behind, in midair, and he began to spin. Amit Renge. Taking the Hachiman Tonko and the Amit Renge, Hada Kakashi threw Ōtsutsuki Rinshiki against the ground, like a projectile, spinning like a drill. Boom crack. Kakashi fell to his feet, still in battle stance, staring at the small cloud of dust, frantically moving the Dojutsu, trying to locate the enemy, hoping he hadn't missed them. If he reached Obito, his comrade would likely end up dead, and that wasn't something he could afford, not now that he had him back. Obito and Rin. Crack. Rinshiki's right hand appeared from beneath Kakashi, cupping his face and breaking the ground, fully revealing the Ōtsutsuki, pressing his hand onto the Konoha shinobi's face. This is over, ninja. It's time for Amaterasu. Ah. Rinshiki released Kakashi, who jumped back. He jerked his head around, seeing Itachi standing to the side, next to Shisui. He breathed a sigh of relief, grateful for the help. Okage-sama. Are you okay? At Shisui's question, Kakashi raised one of his thumbs, giving the Anbu member confirmation. Crunk. The three watched as Rinshiki tore off his arm, engulfed in black flames, which completely consumed the limb. Slowly, a new limb took its place. That's better, Rinshiki declared, swinging his new arm. He turned his head, focusing his eyes on Itachi, seeing his Mangekyo. So it was you, was it? Fine, I'll kill you. Zoom. Rinshiki launched himself at the Uchiha, ready to rip his head off with just a flick of his arm. Pam. But 2 feet struck him on the right side of his face, sending him flying, crashing into several trees. I'd. Ryu hit something really hard. The red-haired Uzumaki complained, showing his teary eyes towards his companions, generating a drop of sweat in them. At least Naruto is here, Kakashi thought, looking at his former student in the Jonin uniform, showing a serious expression. Crack. Rinshiki emerged from under the trees, looking annoyed. He searched for the culprit, focusing on the strongest essence, the densest chakra signature. No, he wasn't the one who caused the blow. Rinshiki knew it. If that guy had done it, he would have ripped his head off. He allowed his lips to move, showing his teeth in a mocking smile. Well. Ashura, right. Where's Indra? Naruto uncrossed his arms, moving his attention to Kakashi. And Akeno-chan. Kakashi sighed. Tsunade and the others are tending to her. She used a Hachiman Tonko against the sky. I see, Naruto closed his eyes, appearing calm. At least, for the few seconds he kept them closed. When he opened them, Rinnegan eyes were taking the place of the normal sky blue ones, while golden chakra slowly enveloped him. I'll take care of him. He had taken the form of the Rakuto Sennin. This guy absorbs chakra. I know, Hokage-sama. Naruto stopped his former master's words by moving his arm forward. Gudadama extended like a shield, stopping the powerful torrent of flames that hit them. That surprised Kakashi, who didn't notice anything aggressive on his enemy's side. Looks like it's going to get serious. Pam. Crush. Naruto blocked Rinshiki's blow, staring with his purple Rinnegan eyes into the Otsutsuki's yellow ones. The Uzumaki gave way an inch, allowing Rinshiki to fall towards him, and landed a hook against the albino giant's stomach, causing him to hunch over. Ah! Naruto grabbed the Otsutsuki's leg and spun, throwing the divine being against the ground while he stood over Rinshiki, charging chakra in his arm and fired, creating a huge crater, sinking the enemy in it. Rasen Shuriken. Charging his Futon Star technique, the Nidaime Rakuto Sennin fired the powerful technique into the crater where the Otsutsuki should have been. A dome of energy covered the entire hole, making it larger and disintegrating meters of earth. Oh. Ryu thinks Naruto-senpai is pissed off. He's overdone it. Ryu is scared. The spying Uzumaki started pacing, comically scared. Itachi snorted, shaking his head, and Shisui just laughed thoroughly, amused. He liked this boy. And Obito. He's preparing a vessel for this guy. If Naruto can't handle him, Kakashi declared, standing up again. That was great. Naruto looked back, receiving a direct blow from Rinshiki that sent him crashing into the ground. Otsutsuki was bleeding slightly, looking amused. Natural energy. I see. The Nidaime Rakuto Sennin stood, staring at his enemy. They both fired Shinra Tensei, raising an immense cloud of dust, while making the earth itself tremble, as if two titans were facing each other. That's all. I still have more, Ninjin. Zoom. Rinshiki appeared in front of Naruto, swinging his arm towards him. Naruto shifted his eyes, watching as Otsutsuki's hand slowly tried to grab his. He disappeared in a Hurricane, reappearing behind the enemy, hitting his back with a Senpo. Adama Rasengan directly, enveloping the enemy in a chakra dome, launching him with a jutsu directly to the front, where another Naruto launched him upwards with a heel strike, being met by a third Naruto with another Rasengan that hit his belly. Sending him against the ground directly, creating another crater. Naruto raised his arm, blocking the real Rinshiki's fist, looking directly at him, earning an arrogant and amused smile from the Otsutsuki. This is what I was looking for. He brought his other arm down, striking the Uzumaki, slamming the Nidaime Rakuto Sennin into the ground, creating a crater. Rinshiki summoned a Bijidama in his hand, larger, like a soccer ball, and aimed it at the Uzumaki. And he shot. Naruto moved his arms, generating 9 shields with the Gudadama that represented him, receiving the full force of his enemy's jutsu, who sent more chakra to the technique when he saw that the blonde was not going to give up like that. So he decided to get rid of him with the most powerful movement, hoping to wipe him off the face of the earth completely. But Naruto wouldn't be gotten rid of simply with a larger than normal Bijidama. Not when he himself had summoned the Gudadama to protect himself from most of the damage and would not show fear for his enemy's movement. Clearing the dust, Uzumaki Naruto blocked with a black slash, the Otsutsuki's own, creating a spark due to the connection between both chakras. Ha! And I thought that would kill you, Ninjin. You're fighting the Nidaime Rakuto Sennin, idiot, Naruto replied, leaning to the side, swinging his leg and striking the Otsutsuki's side, sending him crashing into the ground, hard, raising dust. Don't neglect your holes, idiot. Crush. Rinshiki grabbed the blonde by the head, slamming him into the ground, grinning like a madman, with blood running down his chin due to the blow. That's my line. No one. Naruto growled. He strained and grabbed Rinshiki's arm, spinning him around and standing up, glaring at his opponent. Rinshiki skidded across the ground, grinning. Thank you, Ninjin. Brownk. Naruto opened his eyes, feeling an arm impaling him through the chest. Blood trickled from his mouth and shock was all over his face, in his eyes. Another Rinshiki appeared, making 2 of them. All this time? You've dealt with 2 of us. The second Rinshiki moved his left arm, placing his hand on Naruto's forehead, beginning to absorb the Uzumaki's chakra, taking it for himself, while the one who seemed to be the original only looked at Kakashi and the Uchiha, along with the Uzumaki. You see? You always have to keep an ace up your sleeve. For everything, he declared, looking back at his twin. Already. The second Rinshiki pulled out his arm and Naruto fell to the ground, chakraless. It's time to finish. Before the eyes of the Konoha shinobi, the 2 Rinshiki merged, forming a single, 2.5 meters tall, with red markings on his skin, releasing a denser, more powerful chakra. Two thick horns sprouted from his forehead, giving his enemy a devilish appearance. And it's time for your end. Don't buck with me. It's my ice cream. You bastard. Ryu stepped forward, revealing his right eye Rinnegan, being the only one to remain standing, as was Obito, who had finished concentrating chakra for the Chibaku Tensei. Another insect dares to face me. No insect. The insect. Rinshiki flicked his pinky finger, destroying a large area, but missing the redeed. Ryu appeared above the Ōtsutsuki, delivering a double knee strike, which to his surprise, sent him tumbling backward. The Uzumaki spun around, grabbing the albino's face. Shinra Tensei. And he shot it into the ground, crashing directly into it. After all, Ryu was on par with Naruto in raw power. But in terms of Rinnegan's skill, the redeed was even superior to Nagato. Bastard. Ryu spun around, blocking Rinshiki's blow, feeling himself being forcibly displaced. Uzumaki slammed into the rubble, feeling his back shake from the impact. He coughed, wetting his mask with the blood inside him. Shit. Naruto stood, holding the wound caused by Rinshiki, still slowly healing, thanks to his superior healing powers granted to him by the old sage. The Uzumaki prince gasped, raising his hand, forming another race in shuriken with his Futon chakra, letting everyone hear the screeching of the 1,000 blades of that devastating jutsu. That again, ninjin. Just give up. Haha. He says he should give up. Ryu stood up, enveloped in intense blue chakra, revealing the chakra release he used some time ago, cracking the ground beneath his feet. Insect. Ryu knows that Naruto-senpai would never give up, and even less when you've heard a Keno. The red-haired Uzumaki growled gutturally, taking a step forward, making the earth tremble. And neither do I. Rinshiki swung his arm, aiming at Ryu. He raised his arm, ready to aim at Naruto. A blade made of red chakra sliced through his limb. Itachi was shown wrapped in his Susanoo. Now, Obito. Chibaku Tensei. The three-leaf shinobi leaped forward. A small, black hole was launched toward the Ōtsutsuki, who began to feel himself being sucked into the black hole technique, being engulfed by pieces of rock, trees, and earth. He was being caged, just as Kagaya had been once. Now. The Uchiha Obito struck out with both hands, closing the Chibaku Tensei completely, using every drop of his chakra, combined with that of the Jubi, who had volunteered to stop the enemy. Obito fell to the ground, panting and sweating profusely. Naruto laughed lightly, undoing his technique and imitating his father's student. And Ryu. Knew. Ryu's polo. Yes, Uzumaki Ryu had lost his lemon eye slowly. Legend has it that he only gave it a lick. Phew, I hope I don't have to do the paperwork for this, Shisui complained, making one of Kakashi's eyebrows twitch. Just kidding, just kidding. Naruto. Are you okay? Itachi approached his companion and friend, checking to see if the wound had been more serious. No scar remained from Rinshiki's attack. Yes. It's just the chakra he stole from me, Naruto muttered, feeling his eyelids grow heavy. I think I'm going to sleep. And without further ado, Naruto fell onto his back, snoring softly. Oh. Senpai is so cute. Ryu declared, making a schoolgirl pose as she watched Naruto sleep. Will Chibaku Tensei hold? That's something we have to find out, Kakashi stated, looking towards the rock sphere, frowning. I feel its power even locked away. Is it because of the union of his two halves? Or because of the chakra he took from Naruto? Shisui dropped his doubt, looking at the rocky sphere above them, where Rinshiki was detained, unable to carry out his plan. It's better if he stays in there. We can't just let him go, Obito declared, taking a deep breath. Thanks to the Jubi, he'd been able to push himself further than he could have without the 10 tails. He'd used every drop of his chakra reserves for the Rinnegan technique and borrowed some of the same Jubi to reinforce the technique. I just really hope this is the end of it. Paperwork. Paperwork. Paperwork, Kakashi muttered, thinking about the mountains of paperwork he'd have to look at and sign once Konoha was rebuilt. It was annoying. He wanted to quit. Go to some lost place in the company of Kami, not stay there to deal with what would happen in a few months when everything was back in place. He wasn't young enough to take on the mountains of paperwork the Sandame and Godame had taken. How had the Yondame managed all that? Crack. You know, you're dramatic, Kakashi. Crack. Shut up. Baka. You don't know what it's like to deal with paperwork. All those scrolls. The complaints. The numbers. It's all so painful. I don't want any more of that. Crack. Enough. You're not a kid anymore, Kakashi. Crack. Ryu asks, would Itachi and Ikki give Ryu an ice cream? He's been good and is a good boy. Crack. Sure, Ryu. When we go to Snow Country, I'll give you the best lemon ice cream. Ease. Ryu is happy. Crack boom. In a burst, the enormous rock sphere was reduced to nothing, sending fragments hurtling towards the shinobi, scattering Konoha members across the battlefield. Rinshiki cracked his neck, his eyes searching for the one who had trapped him. He felt it, but he couldn't place it. Ōtsutsuki opened his eyes, observing the enormous reddish humanoid figure, covering Ryu, Obito, and Itachi. A smaller figure, a dense blue color, was covering Naruto, Shisui, Kakashi, and Akeno. "Sorry I'm late." Uchiha Akeno was bandaged all over her body, but her eyes displayed resolve, as did the eternal Mangekyo Sharingan. Those eyes displayed an immeasurable coldness, an iron will that would overshadow that of the Senju. Naruto caressed his wife's face, placing a chaste kiss on her lips. "Heroes arrive at the right time, don't they?" "This is no time for flattery, Bakuruto," she replied, puffing out her cheeks. The Uzumaki laughed lightly, looking over to where Ōtsutsuki and Shiki was, showing off his full power. He hardened his gaze, tossing aside the Jonin vest. "Naruto." "What? There are 3 of us, right? It's time for team to take action, Tebeo." Kakashi chuckled. Itachi shook his head. Obito muttered something unintelligible. Shisui just laughed. Slowly, the inhabitants of Konohagakure arrived at the scene, observing how devastated their village was, how nothing remained. Even the shinobi were watching. "Yeah." Ryu enveloped his body in blue chakra, slamming his fist into the ground, ready to burst out of the skeleton and strike Rinshiki. "Ryu, ready." Crack munch. Naruto chewed 10 soldier pills, feeling the chakra completely flood his system. Pam. He pounded his left fist into the palm of his right hand. Uzumaki Naruto, ready to kick some ass, Tebeo. Akeno shook her head, letting out a sigh, but still showing a small smile. Yes, those were her companions. She closed her eyes and opened the 7th door again. He felt a shot when the mark of the sun was placed on his chest. "Naruto. Just for this. For the pain." Akeno nodded. She faced the Ōtsutsuki, cracking her knuckles. Uchiha Akeno, ready for service. Ada Kakashi sighed, looking at Team, knowing what was coming to him as the Rakudame Hokage. "Forward, Team Death is not tolerated. No abandonment of comrades. If Konoha must be protected, we will do so until our last breath. Team, bring peace to your village, to the people who love you, who consider you heroes." Hi. The 3 Jonin charged toward the Ōtsutsuki, ready to give their lives for Konoha, without fear or dread of the Shinigami himself. Their duty was to protect the people, not the houses or monuments, but the people of the Land of Fire. And that enemy had attacked their people. Ha. Damn Ninjin. Don't be pathetic. Just let yourselves die. Rinshiki fired a Bijidama at Team, which was stopped by Naruto's Gudadama, who once again displayed the cloak of the Sage of 6 Paths at full power. He swung his arm, unleashing a Gudadama planchette, which was taken advantage of by Akeno, who jumped towards the Ōtsutsuki, attracting his attention. He went to perform Shinra Tensei on her, finding that it was a simple clone, leaving a gap in his defense that Ryu took advantage of, who propelled himself with his teammate's chakra, landing a direct blow to his enemy's abdomen, sending him back and creating another opening for Akeno. When Rinshiki pushed the red-haired Uzumaki away, the Uchiha launched a heel kick against the Ōtsutsuki's head, sending him crashing to the ground, generating a cloud of dust, leaving Rinshiki injured. The divine being blocked the second kick, throwing Akeno against Ryu, allowing Naruto to hit him with 2 bars made of the Gudadama, pinning him to some rubble, nearly crucifying him. Yes. This is what I was looking for when I came to this planet. Someone who would make me use everything in me, who would force me to fight. This is what I was looking for, and I finally have it. Rinshiki ripped out both slashes, stabbing one into Ryu, slamming the redeed to the right, stabbing the other into Naruto, stabbing him to the left, leaving room for Akeno's strike. Shinra Tensei roared the Ōtsutsuki, hoping to hit the Uchiha squarely. Iridora fearlessly, he converged his energy into a direct blow towards the Ōtsutsuki's own movement, fighting with the Shinra Tensei executed by it, feeling how the fist collided against the invisible wall, how it was pushed. The tiger fought against the cage. Rasengan. Naruto punched Rinshiki's left side hard, flooding the movement his father had created with Toad Senjutsu, feeling every ounce of the 6 Paths Age's mantle being sent into the jutsu. Rain no Ken, Lion's Fist. Ryu summoned Regulus, uniting it in his fist, converging all the energy into the direct that he released on Rinshiki towards his right side, with force, without fear, showing the brightness in his eyes, one Rinnegan and the other being an indigo color. Being hit, Ōtsutsuki Rinshiki undid the Shinra Tensei, thus deactivating all his defense, receiving the direct blow from Uchiha Akeno full on, without being able to defend himself from the blow of his enemy, seeing those red and black eyes, how he was pushed by the force of the midday tiger, how he was devoured again, but this time noticing the senjutsu of the Sage of the 6 Paths, and the power of the Lion of Uzumaki Ryu, how it was also devouring him. Those 3 attacks were not pushed only by the shinobi who executed them, no, they were pushed by every person in Konoha, by every inhabitant of the Land of Fire, by every inhabitant of the devastated Land of Lightning. Strangely, Ōtsutsuki Rinshiki felt all of that. And he was a million times more powerful than himself. And he wasn't liking it. Ah. Damn Ninjin. This won't just go. Gah. Crush boom. If Rinshiki's Bijidama attack destroyed Konoha. The combination of Uzumaki Ryu, Uzumaki Naruto and Uchiha Keno's attacks only destroyed him. 11 weeks later. Hanahagekur no Sato was almost ready again. Having Yamato, a Mokuten user, and Hashirama's heir, Uzumaki Naruto, was helping with the reconstruction, which had been slow due to Naruto, who wanted to help everyone affected by Rinshiki, including Kumo, some smaller villages, and, incredibly, Iwagakure no Sato, creating a bond of gratitude with the blonde himself, who only gave a smile. Hada Kakashi kept things as slow as possible, not wanting to do any paperwork. Those injured by Rinshiki's attacks were healed with Naruto's Sun Mark, which he didn't bother using, or using his Rinnegan to revive the dead. It was something he had to do if he wanted to feel good about himself. Slowly, the elemental nations were returning to normal, with nature brimming with joy surrounding Konoha and the Land of Fire. Naruto's sage powers only served as a boost to the return of normalcy. Ryu, you idiot. Come back here. Nuo. Akeno-senpai will hit good old Ryu in the balls. Hey A-chan. You too, Bakuruto. Idiots. Not in the face. Not in the face. Yes in the face. Yes in the face. Yes, Konohagakure no Sato was returning to normal, don't you think so, readers? Let me know in the comments below if you guys want the next part. Also check out my other video that has been shown and left. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video please like and share this video. And have a fantastic day. Bye.